Okay, so I'm just going to bring up the eye here in a little bit more detail. Like I've said before, I recommend that you don't do the eye in isolation. I think it's a good idea to tie it in with the rest of the face. And like Cézanne says, my painting comes up, it holds hands and comes up together. You're never just working on one bit in isolation for any length of time. And so, but having said all of that, for the purposes of the demonstration, I am going to work only on the eye so that I can kind of pass on what I think are helpful ways of explaining the eye with these brushes and this material, you know. Okay. So we've got a kind of a reddish brown there. I want to make it a little bit more cooler to describe the socket of the eyes that goes in the way. So I'm going to use the Viridian green in that colour to knock out some of the red. You know, when you've got the opposite colour will cancel out. So if it's a bit red, you could put some green in order to cancel out the brightness of the red. So that's what I've done here. I'm just finding the shadow shapes within the eye area. And then I think if you can figure out the corners of the eyes in relation to one another, which corner is higher than the other, the inner or the outer, and then where does the corner sit in relation to the eyebrow. So the inside corner of the eye to me looks like it's back about 1 centimetre from the eyebrow. You know, if I was to draw a straight line down there. And then you're also locating it within the space of the eyebrow and the bottom of the nose. You know, this triangle here is where the eye will be located. And I think that'll stop you pushing it up too high. So let's see. I'll get the shadow that's underneath the lower lid. Because it's nice later on to pick out the light that falls on the upper surface of that lower lid. And then the shadow of the skin above. We've got some nice light on the eyelid there. Okay, just going to bring some of the kind of orangey colour that's just hanging around the palette there into the mix as well to make it a slightly different colour now, because I want that to be here, some sort of a different colour there. And then the blue of the iris. And I'm using, up until there, I was using the 3/4 inch brush. I'm going to use the 1/2 inch. I think it's a half, no, it's probably 1/4 inch. I don't know. Anyway, it's the smallest one of the 3 brushes. I'm going to use that to describe the actual iris. And just put something in there. So the things to look for are the line of the eyebrow, where the corner of the eye sits, even if it's not actually there yet, knowing in your head where you want the corner of the eye to be will allow you to know where the eye turns down here. And the upper lid will help you to know the space of skin between the eye and the eyebrow. Yeah, and I didn't mean to touch that there, but it's okay. Right. And I'm thinking that I would lift up the eye. I don't want there to be a smaller space here. That's probably too small already, but I eventually keep going, pushing the mouth down a touch as well maybe, and you know, gradually pushing the eye up. But I'd say what would happen there would be for the eyebrow to lift. I'll just put some dark colour back on the brush again, the blue and brown mix. And I think the eyebrow probably will occupy the space up there as well, you know. But this is the darkest part of the eyebrow, I think. I guess the policy here would be to just, as you see something different, do it. As you see something, just do it. And know that it's possible to continue adjusting the stuff elsewhere to meet what you've just done as well. It sounds like kind of a cop-out, but really it's just keeping it all alive and working. It doesn't sound like a cop-out, I think, does it? I don't know. Anyway. All right. So let's put in the iris and we can more easily see then. And if you're standing well back, you'll always know what needs to happen next. You'll know if the eye is in the wrong place if you keep standing back often. Okay. So there's the dark colour for the iris, which I'm going to begin easing myself into by putting some in the eyebrow there first, and then allow it to maybe hang down from the upper lid, you know. So some sort of a kind of an eye there. Figure out where it would be across the length of the eyebrow, where it would need to be. I think it's covered by the upper lid more than by the lower lid. And just some sort of a shape there will be fine. And it leads me to think that under the eye, the skin could be even a touch darker. Or I can go in, let me see now. Yeah, I think I want to do the parallel line of the eyelid where it meets the skin of the socket of the eye back there. And then, let's see. And then the shadow that's underneath the lower lid could be pushed up a little bit again. This is a useful tip, I think, to push the brush up and lift it. It allows the paint to accumulate where you lift the brush. So unless you want to be turning your board upside down and letting the paint accumulate there, this is another way of letting the paint up here rather than down here. Push it up and lift. And that's what I like to do on the underside of the eye here. Push it up and lift. And when you're working on the eye, you might take more time and find different colours to represent all of these different tones. Alright, so the white of the eye. Does anyone have any questions? I feel like I'm motoring on really fast, but do you have any questions about any of that or any suggestions? I'll just keep going. So the cerulean blue is a good colour to inject into the white of the eye in order to give it a different quality. Like for me, it looks to me like when I have closed my eyes, the lightest parts are the eyelid and the light that's hitting the upper surface of the lower lid. The light that's hitting the upper surface of the lower lid is quite luminous really, and probably one of the brightest parts of the whole image. So I'm wanting to leave that so far as I can to be the white of the paper. But it's not a big deal if it's not in your painting. You can retrieve it with the brushes. You know how you can lift off. Let me just show you. So imagine this is a really dark eye socket and you want to retrieve the light that's on the upper surface of the lower lid. You would just clean your brush and then, like a rubber in charcoal, 2 or 3 times, and then wash out the pigment you've just lifted. Do you see how it's almost the white of the paper there? And that's quite dark, you know. It's maybe easier when it's dark. It's when it's a mid-tone that it might be trickier, but keep at it with a clean brush and a clean damp brush and you'll be able to retrieve the light. But I'm lucky enough here because most of that is still light enough. Most of the little patch where I want the the light to be is still the white paper. Now I'm putting some of that nice Windsor orange together with the yellow ochre to make a warm colour for the eyelid. And then I'm going to cut out some. It's probably a little bit damp still, but still it's allowing me to lift it out a bit. Yeah, and then some in there. Let's see. And go for the bigger brush again. You always want to be kind of locating it in space. When you do anything in the eye area, it might be helpful to actually find the shadows out with the eye as well. And then, you know, make it all part of the action, like a lot more than I've been doing. But like I said, it was just to illustrate the things that I find helpful to explain the eye. Okay, and finally, I want to lift off some of the colour that's around what would be the pupil, and maybe deepen the tone of the upper lid a little bit again. Yeah, and regularly stand back. You'll see stuff when you stand back that you'll wish you stood back sooner. It's not so bad today. I think it's all right. Okay. Sometimes it's at the coffee break or something that you kind of think, oh, why didn't I nearly swore there. Why didn't I stand back earlier? So the blue and brown mixed together just to feed it into that kind of dampish paper. And then I can bring more of that same dark into the upper lid and the pupil of the eye. And across it'll bleed a bit, but it's all right, I think. Actually, it's helpful now to fill in that space of white. What's that, Jessie?
I liked it, but I was wondering why it was white, because I couldn't see the white.
Yeah, it wasn't there, yeah, I know. But I was kind of not sure if I wanted to leave some gap. Okay, now it's all filled in a bit there, so what I'm going to do is take some of the kitchen paper and make it into a drawing tool for myself so I can print off a bit more of the eyelid again. Because the eyelid it was fairly wet and ended up the colour around it seeped into it a little bit more than I wanted it to. So, and that's where it comes in useful to do other stuff around the face and not just focus on one area. And I'm going to do that very briefly, just a few little indications of what could be made deeper in tone, and then do a final couple of moves in the eye, maybe 2 more minutes. Yeah, because after at the end of the day, we all feel like we want success, don't we? There's it's nice having a little element of okay, that's all right now. I can close that one and move on. So I want to just do a final couple of moves that'll hopefully be helpful in explaining that as an eye. And in waiting for it to dry a touch, I want to do these little things here. So the corner of the mouth might need to be adjusted slightly down the way I thought when I saw the distance there. And just bringing some of the same tone elsewhere is kind of helpful. And like I say, in the drawing class, it's like your windscreen wipers on top speed, looking over and back from the model to the page, so that you're not, you're already planning your next move as you're drawing down this one. David Hockney says that. I love the things that he says in his book, A Bigger Message, I think it is. Okay. And so back up to the eye, just to kind of get some detail somewhere. Some detail somewhere is enough. You don't need detail everywhere, I think. But just find out, and the things that for me that I think are necessary to do here were just to get a little bit of clarity in the eye itself, and not feel like everything has to be. It's more about half closing your eyes and figuring out the areas of dark and light than drawing an eye. The eye will happen on its own then, I think, if you just half close your eyes and as well as you can see the areas of light and dark and the shapes that they are. And find different colours if you can. This is really my final move now. So doing the elastoplasty orange, Windsor orange, and the whatever that was it orange, yellow ochre? It was Windsor orange, yellow ochre to make this a warmer colour to the more blue tones around it. And then for the upper surface of the lower lid, I did say that was my final move, but this is my final move. The upper surface of the lower lid with a bit of cadmium red in it. I think it would be no harm to feed some cadmium red into that bit there to make that shade a bit different from the eyelid. And then you could just bring all those colours everywhere else too. Bring the little concentrated areas of colour can be splashed on in other places as well, so that you can kind of integrate all of it and get it all dancing up together kind of thing. So enjoy yourselves in your dance this afternoon. All right. And thanks for your patience there. It was longer than the 10 minutes, but have fun, I had a bit of fun with it. Doug, thanks very much.